Alright, today we're going to be learning about John Donne's Holy Sonnet number 10, Death Be Not Proud. Do you know anything about John Donne?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
Well, good. You're in for a treat. We're going to discuss the overview of what we're doing today. We're going to talk about John Donne, the poet, an apostrophe, what it is, how it's used. We're going to find some examples of it in there. Metaphysical conceit. Sonnets, the different types, and we're going to figure out what kind of sonnet this one is. We're going to do a quick analysis, find out what exactly he's trying to say, and then wrap it up with the overall message of his poem. John Donne was born in England in 1572 and he died in 1631. He married a woman named Anne Moore in the early 1600s, and after she died is when he is thought to have written the Holy Sonnets. As opposed to all of the cliches that other poets used, likening a rose to love, he would use his wit to create deeper metaphors.
Question. Okay, so
Sure.
like, they think that maybe the reason that he waited until after she died and didn't use the cliches and stuff is because he was still mourning her death?
I think he always used the metaphysical conceits and the deeper metaphors before she died. It was after she died whenever he wrote his 19 holy sonnets.
I mean, he didn't use the cliches and stuff, so like...
He never used them. He didn't like them.
Oh, well, never mind.
Okay. The 19 holy sonnets were published in 1633, 2 years after he died. That wasn't unusual for that time for poets to have their works published after their death. And he's considered a metaphysical poet. He's one of them. The others, there's a handful of others, and they weren't exactly a group of people that met together and wrote metaphysical poetry. They were just a group of people who wrote the same way. It was highly likely that they never even met. Apostrophe, other than the little symbol and contractions and possessiveness. What is an apostrophe? Do you know?
No.
Okay. An apostrophe is addressing something that is absent or inanimate. Can you give me an example of that? Not necessarily in the poem.
I don't know.
You don't know? Alright. Well, what about in the poem? I'll do the first one.
What about this? Die not or death.
Yes. And how is that an apostrophe?
Because how can death die? It's already dead.
So if death is already dead, he's not exactly a person, right?
No. Okay.
And then the very obvious one is the very first line, death be not proud. And then poor death, as you said. Good job. And then thou art slave in line 9. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. That's another example telling him, it's also a good example of personification, giving him human traits. And why swellest thou, and death thou shalt die? He's inanimate, so of course he can't die anyways, and that swelling of pride are all examples of apostrophe.
This makes him feel invincible.
Exactly. Now, metaphysical conceit, which is what John Donne is most known for. Do you have any idea what that is?
He uses metaphors?
Yes. It's a comparison of two extremely different ideas. As mentioned before, he didn't like the rose equals love. So he would find other things to compare to make these much deeper and more unique metaphors. One of his other really known ones is a poem called The Flea, in which a flea bites a man and a woman, and the man tells the woman that they have already been intimate because their blood is already mixed, which isn't exactly necessarily true, but it's likening that intimate relationship to a flea biting two different people. And then the Holy Sonnet 10. Death is a bully. Your basic schoolyard bully.